Hari
Can you please explain the importance of sincerity on the path?
Yes. Actually, it's absolutely necessary if we want to have a chance that you're sincere about it. That you don't pick up the spiritual path as another hobby, as another pastime, simply because you are a bit bored. Oh, we can try also spirituality. Do we have another entertainment? And what does it mean to be sincere? If we start to have a good, sincere, honest look at ourselves, if we start to become aware how we are functioning, if we start to be aware how we are creating our own suffering all the time, how we are creating our own pain all the time, then you start to get sincere in getting rid of it. And if you want to get rid of it, it's not that, okay, I'm devoting a little time, but I'm interested in a lot of other things. You can be interested in other things, but don't forget about cleaning out your house. And that sincerity comes the more we are really sincerely look at ourselves, the more we start to get sincerely fed up with it. I've had it. I don't want to suffer anymore. And there the sincerity comes that you want to find a way to get out of it. As long as you're deluding yourself that you can be quite okay, if you're doing this, if you're doing that, then I guess you have to live through it and you have to go for it and get those experiences until you're ready, that you're looking a bit deeper. But when you look out at the world, at all those beings, there is such a sadness. There's such a tremendous longing for being happy and never attaining it. People are feeling themselves victims of the circumstances, of how they have been brought up, of what is going on, always in that victim mode. And then life is a burden, life is a drag. And if we start to look at ourselves and stop making everybody and everything else responsible for how we are functioning, and honestly see, okay, I have maybe pushed in that direction by my parents, by how I grew up, and then I have put patterns in place, and if people never look at themselves, these patterns are there very early in life, and the rest of the life is just a repetition over and over and over of the same stories. But if we start to look at them, then we start to see, okay, there have been reasons why I have put these patterns in place, but I have been maintaining them myself, and I need not do that any longer. And once that clarity comes, there comes the sincerity to let go of that. To liberate yourself from all the things that create pain all the time. Suffering is not natural. But as long as we are refusing to look at it and see how we are doing that to ourselves, it's inevitable.
My understanding is that humor is almost as important as sincerity.
Humor. Well, it makes everything a lot easier. If we take ourselves and everything so serious, it seems so heavy. When you can laugh about yourself, already it's like tons are falling off.
Were you able to keep your humor when you were sitting in the cave?
Oh yes. Well, there was a whole period before where I didn't keep the humor so much. When I came to Amma, I was already mad. I had that idea, I want enlightenment. Taking myself and my ideas and my concepts very serious. And she saw how I'm functioning, so instead of telling me, okay, now relax, relax, she saw, I can't. So she said, yes, yes, more, increase, more desire. I wouldn't recommend that as a general approach. It's very painful. If you somehow have the will and the support to pull through, eventually the whole thing will come crashing down. But still, on the way, there was a lot of humor also. And then when I said to her, the first time in the cave without coming out, already that madness had very much calmed down. And I had developed something I had absolutely not in the beginning. In the beginning, Amma used to say, yes, increase your desire for liberation, but you must have patience. And the second part I didn't want to hear. No. And since I didn't want to learn patience, I had to learn it slowly, painfully, gradually. But then that was already there when I said that the first time, so I didn't take it so serious anymore. And then things collapsed and everything changed. And then later I sat again in the cave, and there people think I did a terrible thing to myself, but I spent very joyous, happy time down there in my 2 little square meters.
Enlightenment and desire.
Yeah.
How do they correlate? If you want to say something about desires.
Right. Some people say you have to somehow become totally desireless if you want to have a chance. But it's not that we have to somehow root out every damn little desire that is there. But there are desires that invariably create more troubles, create more of a sense of separation. And when we see these desires, it's go to work on them and let them go if we can. If we can not, if they are too strong, then we may have to go for them and reap all the sweet and bitter fruits that come out of it. And be wiser for the experience. I mean, everybody wants to be happy. And why do we want to be happy? Because it is our natural state. That state full of joyousness. And everybody in the subconscious knows about that and longs for that. Then, after that, when that feeling of being incomplete, something is missing, then the desires spring up. And then most of the desires, they simply hope, if I'm doing this, then I'm going to be happy. If I'm doing that, I'm going to be happy. If I'm acquiring this, I'm going to be happy. I can acquire more and more and more, and it's never enough. But the base is that longing to come home to your natural state. And there is nothing wrong with that longing. And then there are the little desires from day to day. They don't matter. You're hungry, you're desiring to eat something. So you solve it by eating and done with it. But if you get obsessed with eating and food and think about it, then it's getting a problem. When you are getting obsessed with your desires, then they are burdens. Otherwise, if you see a desire, you can check, does it make sense? Does it feel right? Am I getting closer to just being by fulfilling this desire? Or is it just another distraction, a nuisance, and doesn't really matter? Then maybe you can drop it. Then you may desire to have a career, get some education, get some paper. As long as one is aware that this is not going to make you happy, that your happiness, that your sense of fulfillment comes out of yourself, then you can very well do that. Somehow or other we have to spend our life. Somehow or other we have to spend our time. So nothing wrong doing those things that come natural, that we have an inclination for, that we feel at ease with, but not with the idea consciously or not unconsciously hanging on to that I have to do that in order to become happy. I have to do that in order to be fulfilled. That sense of happiness, that sense of fulfillment comes out of yourself. And not from the fulfillment of desire. What's happening when you fulfill a desire that may create some tension, may create some agitation, and then you fulfill the desire, and at that moment, you let go. And in that letting go, that inner beauty, that inner joyousness has a chance for a moment to come to the surface. The happiness is not coming from the fulfillment of the desire, but from the fact that at that moment you let go. You don't torture your mind, it should be different, that should be different, or something should be different. You just are and relax. And in that relaxing, that joyousness which needs not be created, which cannot be created, bubbles up to the surface. After that, in the mind, we may have the idea, I was so happy because I did this, and this, and this, and this, and then we try to recreate it, and then usually it doesn't quite work out. There we go again, struggling, hoping to get the same kick, but then we get the kick, then it's there for a moment, and we are fixed on the circumstances instead of becoming aware, actually, for a moment I just let go. And there that happiness was there.